Disabled in sports. I'm joined by a top-ranking and award-winning South African wheelchair tennis star in studio this afternoon. She's recently competed at a major tennis tournament and is here to tell us all about that and her journey as a star athlete. Kgothatso Motjane, good afternoon and welcome to News Today.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, pal.
I'm very excited to have you here in studio, but I want to take you back to where you come from. You're born in Limpopo and born with a disorder called congenital disorder. Can you educate myself and the viewers about what that is and how that affected your early childhood?
Yeah, I mean, it was a congenital deformity, disability that derived from birth. So it means when I was still in the womb, the embryo got damaged and attached itself to some of the body parts, so it hindered development in some of the body parts. Like my leg wasn't well developed, some of my fingers not well developed, my right leg not, like it doesn't look like a normal leg, like I would say, which I don't know what's normal, but yeah. So that's all that congenital disability means. So it's just disability that derived from birth. And I was lucky that my parents took me to a special school at the age of 6, where I mean, when I realized that I wasn't different from anyone, there were other children who were, different. I mean, that made me, better as a person, and it made me settle very well in that environment. And I mean, the school I went to, that's where I really, settled very well, and I was introduced to, all these different sporting codes, and that's why I'm here with you today.
Tell me about tennis. How do you get into tennis? It's very different being interested in a couple of sporting codes, but then taking up a sport and ending up playing professionally in major tournaments such as the Australian Open. How do you get into that? Who helps you with the equipment and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, come tennis, all credits to Airport Company South Africa, they funded the sport, and that's what got me where I am today. If it wasn't for them funding the sport, I wouldn't be an elite athlete today. So I joined wheelchair tennis in 2005 while I was doing matric at school. I was forced into the sport, actually. I enjoyed playing wheelchair basketball and table tennis, but I was just forced into the sport because it was the new sport on the block. So every school wanted to have representatives. So at my school, they just, because you do everything, just go and represent us. I didn't like the sport, funny enough, but you know what? The first time I picked up the racket, I don't know, I fell in love with the sport because it was challenging. Being able to push with the racket and run side to side. I mean, that was hell of something. But you know what? I love the sport, and luckily, the very same year, I was still a junior. They selected me to go and represent the country in Holland. Then when I got there, I mean, seeing other kids playing very well. When I came back, I was like, I wanna play this. Then the following year, when I went to University of Venda, there were other guys playing there. Then you know what? I took wheelchair tennis as my sport. I quit wheelchair basketball, table tennis. I was like, this is my sport. I'm going to focus on this sport going forward.
So from 2005, having been the very first time you picked up a racket and, played, to 2016, where you get to compete at the Australian Open. How was that experience? How was it being among the top and elite athletes in the world?
I mean, it's an honor for me. It really shows how far I came from. I mean, knowing nothing about the sport. I went to 2008 Paralympics without knowing anything about the sport. Counting the score was even a problem by then, but I was at the Paralympics, So like going to Paralympics also motivated me, seeing people how well they were playing when I was coming back. Then yeah, I had to push hard and make sure that I also playing the Grand Slam share the stage with your Serenas and your Roger Federer. So that's where I am today, and you know what, I'm still willing to achieve even more.
Now, for people who are not aware of how wheelchair tennis works, are there any differences between wheelchair tennis and sort of normal, for lack of a better word, normal tennis?
No, the only difference between the two sports, which is one sport, is the 2 bounce rule. In wheelchair tennis, you are allowed 2 bounce, where the first bounce needs to land in a normal court, and the second bounce can land anywhere. But as a wheelchair tennis player, I will always advise you to play first bounce because you're taking time away from your opponent. So that's the only difference, between the two same sport.
Okay, so the Australian Open is done. What's next on the calendar for you? Will we be seeing you at the Paralympics? Do you know whether you've qualified yet or? What's on the cards?
On the Paralympic issue, the cutoff's going to be in May. So after May, that's when, as an athlete, I will be, making a special announcement whether I qualified or not. But normally they take the top 22 in the world. So far I'm secured on number 8. But what's next is, next month I'm going to the US in preparation to our 2 big tournaments coming up at home. So I'll be playing 2 tournaments in the US, Baton Rouge and Pensacola. Then after a week, I'll be taking part in the AXA Benin Open and AXA SA Open. So those are our 2 big tournaments that, we really need home support. If the crowd can come and support us, we'll feel good because we're forever out there and being on our own. So that would be nice if people come in and, support us. Yeah.
And lastly, Kgothatso, tell me about the legacy that you would like to build and be remembered for.
Yeah, obviously, it's still work in process. KG Sport, trying to get my foundation running, which is going to focus on, all the sport, doesn't matter disability or able body. So, I'm passionate about sports, so I want to share my experience with the upcoming athletes, and doesn't matter talent identification. I want to see players that I will point one day and say they coming from my own academy and all that. So that's something I'm, still work in process. But yeah, I will leave that behind before I die.
Kgothatso Motjane, thank you so much for your time. There she is, has dreams of having her own foundation where she will be developing young talent in sports right here in South Africa. Currently ranked 8th in the world, but she is sitting right at the top when it comes to national rankings. Such a pleasure to have her in studio. In cricket news, Australia was